On this episode of American Detour, we make our own 90s-esque paint scheme. We finish putting the engine together, test fit it, pull it back out, and buy a $4,000 T56 Magnum 6-speed transmission for this truck. It's starting to get a little expensive, just a little bit.
Check it out.
I want to finish up the interior and get it all finished up, but there's a lot of surface rust here. My floor pan I installed over there, and then just a bunch of crap everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my angle grinder with a sanding disc. I'm gonna go through and clean it all up. And then I got a bucket of bed liner to put in here. So I'm gonna bed line from here all the way to the firewall there, because I don't want carpet in here. I don't want another rubber mat. So I also want something tough. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some bed liner because it'll look good too. Oh, that is thick. Oh, buddy. I don't know if I have to stir this stuff up. I don't think I do. One stir. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I want. You don't think there's a need to stir this up. Man, it's so thick. That is perfect. Exactly what I need. Okay, the floor's done, except for this area, but I still have to fix a little bit of the floor pan there, so I'm not gonna worry about that right now. What we are gonna do is we're gonna paint the 90s two-tone-esque paint scheme I wanna do. I've already got the top masked off. That'll be the very end, or I guess the start of the two-tone. So I'm gonna do like a fade, but not a regular like paint fade. We're gonna be doing a 90s type like blocky fade, so it'll be like stripes. So it'll go from yellow to orange to this red and stripes down the side along the bottom body break of the truck. So I think that'll look really good, very 90s looking. So I've got it masked, so I'm about to start scuffing it. A little Brillo pad I found, it's 360 grit, that should be fine. And then prime it, and then spray the entire thing with orange. I think it'll look really good. It's gonna be hard to measure everything out and make it look perfect, but we'll see what we can do here. We're finally getting ready to put the motor in the truck, but what I've come to realize is, of course, this has the V6 mount, engine mounts in it, so they're located backwards. So we've got like a plate coming off the K-member with the clamshell on that plate. But the thing is, the only way to get those motor mounts off is to either take off the lower control arm to get an extension up there to be able to get that nut off, or you can do what I'm gonna do and cut a section out of the K-member to get access to those nuts. And before people start freaking out, calm down. It is not going to mess up the structural integrity of the K-member at all. I'm going to put it back in and weld them back in. It's all going to be hunky-dory, no worries. We have to put on an oil pump. I got a high volume oil pump from Advanced Auto Parts, then a new oil pan I bought, and then drop the motor in here. Now that I've cut out these pieces and got the new motor mounts in, now I gotta weld them back in. Isn't it wonderful working on old trucks? The stupid things you have to do to make it work. Okay, so I got a little bit of a tech tip for y'all. So I've been trying to figure something out myself. When you have a roller block, an engine that came, or a small block Chevy specifically that came with a roller camshaft, those are held in with a plate, a retaining plate on the front, which I have. But I was sitting here trying to figure out why when I put on the new double roller timing gear that it hits this front faceplate, and I just could not figure it out. And then I remembered back to when we replaced the gear set on my 78 square body. I realized that the only thing keeping that camshaft from walking is specifically the timing set. And transfer that knowledge to here, this cam has to be pulled out just the slightest bit to make this gear sit on here right, and it lines up perfectly once you pull this cam out a little bit with the crankshaft timing gear. So when you pull that out, you may think, well, it's gonna walk. Not if you put on a good timing set. I mean, that's how all flat tappet Chevy engines keep the cam from walking, is all by the tension of the timing gear, or I should say the timing set, more like. So I just want to let you guys know that so you don't run into the same questions that I am. Now another thing is, when you put in your new flat tappet lifters in their little bores here, they're gonna sit super freaking low, like ridiculously low down in the bores, but that is not an issue. That is totally fine. The angles aren't different from a flat tappet to a roller block, nothing's different. So when you see your lifter sitting ridiculously low down in the bores, don't freak out, that's alright. That's what they do, that's how they work if you go from a roller block to a flat tappet. Then of course your push rod length's gonna be longer. I have them listed here just to help you guys out because I didn't know this, and I looked it up and found out that they are different, and I found out the length that I needed. So keep that in mind if you're going to do this swap also. Just a helpful tip because I wish I would have known that and it would have helped me out a bunch. So anyway, I got to pull that crank gear off and then finish up our timing set. This is the moment that not only we, but everyone involved here has been waiting on, finally to put the motor in the truck. I've been working non-stop by myself for the past like 3 days to get this motor ready to put it in the truck. Everything's done on it besides the push rods, but I know what size I need to order. I researched that and found it out. But the oil pan's on, the remain seal is on, our timing chain set is on, the timing cover is on. I had to take the intake off though because I was stupid and rolled the motor over with no push rods. The motor just fell out, but that's alright. The point is that this is ready to go into the truck. And I'm so freaking excited. I've worked so hard and spent so much money and countless nights freaking out as if this is all gonna work. And really we still don't know yet, but that's the excitement of tomorrow, is that we get to find out and work to it, figure it out, and keep going forward. So let's stop talking and put this thing in here. I'm gonna set the camera down on time lapse because I'm doing this by myself and I don't want to mess anything up, so bear with me. Let's get this thing done. So you may be wondering why I went ahead and spent the money for a T56. Well, So you saw me install the engine. Well, after I put the engine in, I was like, I really can't let the engine sit in there without a transmission. And then I was like, crap, I really need a transmission. Well, I immediately thought, well, I've got the built Turbo 400 in the 89 I can pull out and just swap the tail housing to a two-wheel drive tail housing. Well, I called my transmission guy, and he's like, well, that's not really possible because of the length of your tail shaft. You'd have to, they don't make the correct length two-wheel drive tail housing for that tail shaft. We'd have to change the entire tail shaft itself. It's not worth the money. So I sat there like, well, crap. I've got a couple of NV 3500s laying around. I could throw one of those in, but they're not great transmissions. Their gear ratios suck, and they'll blow up over 300 horsepower easily. And if it dead hooks once, what's that transmission gonna do? Well, I got on Summit and saw this for $3,200. And now granted, I don't have the bell housing yet, I don't have the clutch yet, I don't have the hydraulic throwout bearing yet. I know that, I know it's gonna cost more, but for $3,200, and if I need to wait a couple of weeks, get a few paychecks in to pay for the rest of it, I'm gonna do it because that's a pretty freaking good price for this amazing transmission. So this is a Tremec T56 Magnum 6-speed transmission. It's not the top of the line by any means. Top of the line would be, in terms of manual transmissions, would be this, but like built to the hilt, like withstand 2,000 horsepower. But for what we're doing, for the amount of horsepower we're pushing and what we're trying to build, this is top of the line for us. For me, for my specific application. And it might be for you too, depending on what you're building. And it's more affordable than you think. And I mean, you can't just listen. You cannot get past this sound. Like that's just, oh God, it's so crisp. So nice and refined and beautiful and wonderful. And everything that makes me scream like a little girl. But the moral of the story here is, this is something I never ever imagined I would ever be able to afford, obtain, or ever even drive a vehicle with this in it. Because this is what all, your big guys use per se. Again, I'm not saying that I'm a big guy and I'm this and I'm that. I'm just saying, I'm glad that I can actually get to the point where I can buy nice parts like this. Because at the beginning, if you couldn't tell, we were kind of hacks. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, I mean that in the way that we didn't have the money nor the knowledge yet to do the things that we were wanting to do. We were overstepping our knowledge. And now that we've gained the knowledge, we have the parts to go along with it to build something that can do what we want it to do. We're no longer overstepping our knowledge anymore. It's party time now. It's time to do what we want. And with that engine, which I'm estimating to make around, at the crank, 430, 420, 410, 400 something. I don't know. I've never put an engine on the dyno. Never built one to put on the dyno. I don't know what it'll make. I'm hoping at least 425 horsepower or something like that, at the least. And it might be more and it might be less, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what it is, we're gonna put more horsepower to it. And we know that this won't give out on us. That's one less thing to worry about. And this is one of the most expensive parts of the truck. The engine, it's really not that expensive. But the transmission, that's expensive. You break something, that's a lot of money.